Hello, students, and welcome to your math class today. Today's April 27th, and we're going to start by responding to the Do Now prompt about storytelling. Kind of a fun prompt today. Sorry about the buzz. Today we will work with the distributive property. That is our objective. So our essential questions are: what separates terms in an expression or equation? That's always a good thing to be reminded of. And what operation facilitates or makes possible, I hope that's a new word for you, the distributive property. Our assignment will be to complete the Do Now, the 2 work pages, the exit ticket, and to show your work to me. For homework, if you didn't finish, you can finish it at home. But if you finished early, I have some things for you to do as well. But most important, show your work to the teacher. That's how you get credit. For your exit ticket, we have a fill in the blank today, so we'll get back to that. For our Do Now, we have something fun. Today is National Tell a Story Day. So, a parable, I don't know if you've ever heard of that, is a simple story that's told to illustrate a moral or spiritual lesson. So, here's the question: why is it easier to learn those difficult lessons when they are taught through a story? So, if you have a hard lesson you want to teach, like being kind or being honest, why is it easier to teach that lesson through a story? So I want you to think about that, and you can answer here. So moving on, we do have our 2 pages on the distributive property today. When you finish and you finish your exit ticket, I have a nice mindful arts activity. You can use digital tools to create a book cover to tell your personal story. So have some fun with that for a couple minutes. Or maybe you want to unscramble this quote from a famous author of the Harry Potter books, J.K. Rowling. So let's get started with our distributive property. And these are the steps. We will use the distributive property to eliminate any parentheses. First, we combine like terms, and then we move the constant to the other side of the equation using inverse operations. The other side means whatever side does not have the variable. We eliminate a coefficient using inverse operations, remembering that whatever we do to one side of an equation, we must do to the other as well. And we check by substituting your answer for the original equation to see if our answer fits. If we have a number equals the same number, then we know we've done this correctly. Now, so first we distribute. We have to distribute this 2 through this quantity in parentheses. And to distribute means to multiply. So 2 times 2 is 4, and they're both positive. 2 times negative 7n is negative 14n. And then we have our equals 116. Now we ask what is happening to n. And we've got n right here. It's tucked inside this term. Terms are separated by addition and subtraction. So what we're going to do is wait. Okay, we'll wait before we deal with that term because we have this negative 4. What is happening to, this positive 4? When we say what is happening to negative 14n, 4 is being added. So first, we want to subtract the 4, and whatever we do to one side, we do to the other. So 4 take away 4 is 0. That leaves us with negative 14n equals 112. So if we divide 112 by 14, that would equal 8 because 8 times 14 is 112. So we're going to divide both sides by negative 14, and that would isolate our n, and n would equal negative 8. If we substitute negative 8 for n and evaluate this, we would end up with 116 equals 116, and our answer would check. So number 2, we're going to distribute this negative 5 through the quantity of 8m plus 1. So negative 5 times 8 is negative 40, and we have that m. Negative 5 times 1 is negative 5. So we have the rest of the problem equals 195. So what is happening to negative 40m? Well, this negative 5 is being subtracted from it. So we'll add that negative 5 so that we can isolate that negative 40m. But whatever we do to one side of this equation, we need to do to the other. So negative 5 plus 5 equals 0. So that leaves us with negative 40m equals 195 plus 5 is 200. Well, what's happening to m? M is being multiplied by negative 40, so we will do the inverse operation of dividing by negative 40, knowing that whatever we do to one side, we do to the other. And now m will equal negative 5. And if you substitute negative 5 for that m, use parentheses, your answer will check. So now this is a little bit tricky. We're going to have to combine like terms after we distribute. But when we have a negative 1 outside of a parentheses and we distribute that negative is really a negative 1. So all it does is it changes the sign inside anything in the parentheses. So this is going to be 83 equals negative 1 here. Negative 1 times negative 5n is positive 5n plus 7n. Now we can combine like terms because we have 5n plus 7n. So let's rewrite 83 equals negative 1 plus 13n. Now we're going to add 1 to both sides so we can isolate this 13n. And when we do that, we have 84 equals negative 1 and positive 1 cancel. Did I just add that wrong? 7 and 5, I wrote 13. I'm sorry, I meant to write 12. Okay, 84 equals 12n. Now, what's going to happen here is we're going to divide both sides by 12, and 12 over 12 equal 1, so that isolates n, and 84 divided by 12 equals 7, and they're both positive, so that's a positive 7. I like to rewrite it as n equals 7 with the variable on the left. And then number 4, we have negative 6 minus 8 times the quantity of negative 4 minus 3 equals 82. The first thing we need to do is distribute this negative 8 through the quantity of negative 4 minus 3. So negative 6, negative 8 times negative 4 is a positive 32k. Negative 8 times negative 3 is a positive 24 equals 82. Now let's combine like terms. We can combine the negative 6 and the positive 24, which would give us negative 6 plus 24 is basically 24 minus 6, which is 18. And then we have, so we took care of that and that. Now we have that 32k equals 82. So now we look, what is happening with our positive 32k? Well, 18 is being added. We have that invisible positive sign there. So that means we're going to subtract 18, and whatever we do to one side of an equation or inequality, we're going to do to the other. So now on the left side, we have 32k equals 64. Now, what is happening to k? K is being multiplied by 32. So I will divide by 32. It's both positive. Whatever I do to one side of the equation, I do to the other. And k equals 2. And if we substitute that 2 For the k, our answer will check. Now, see if you can try these error analysis problems on your own and then come back to the video and let's see how you did. Okay, so we've got an error. We've got number 1, I'll call that number 1. Negative 5a times the quantity of 6a minus 2 equals 70. So that should be negative 5 times 6 is negative 30a. Negative 5 times negative 2 should be a positive 10. So what we have is the wrong sign. So let's see if we can solve this correctly. Negative 5 times the quantity of 6a minus 2 equals 70. So negative 5 times 6 is negative 30, and we have that a. Negative 5 times negative 2 is positive 10 equals 70. Now, we're going to subtract 10 from each side so that we can isolate this negative 30a. So negative 30a equals 60. Now we ask, what is happening to a? Well, a is being multiplied by negative 30. So we will do the inverse operation, which is to divide by negative 30. And that isolates our a, and a equals negative 2. 60 divided by 30 is 2, and a positive divided by a negative is a negative. Okay, let's look at this one. I'll call this problem 2. We have 4 times the quantity of 4k minus 2. So we're going to distribute, and that equals 88. So 4 times 4 is 16. Already, what did they do? They added 4 plus 4. They should have multiplied. Okay, distribution is multiplication. So none of this matters at the end because once you've made a mistake here, it's all going to be wrong. So let's rewrite this problem. 4 times the quantity of 4k minus 2, and that equals 88. So 4 times 4 is 16, and we have that k. 4 times negative 2, that's negative 8, equals 88. And now we want to isolate that 16k. So we're going to add 8 to both sides of the equation, which will give us 16k equals 96. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to divide 16k by 16 so that we can isolate this k, but we also have to divide the 96 by 16. So that would leave us with k equals 96 divided by 16 equals 6, and that's a positive 6 because it's a positive divided by a positive. And you can see how these answers are different from these incorrect answers in our error analysis. So I'll call this problem number 3. And we have 5 times the quantity of 1 plus 5k equals negative 145. So that should be 5 times 1 is 5. That's okay. 5 times 5, and they wrote 5 wrong. They added instead of multiplied. So when you distribute, you're multiplying. So let's do this correctly, because none of this will be right if they make a mistake here. So that's 5 times the quantity of 1 plus 5k equals negative 145. So 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times positive 5k is positive 25k. Those are not like terms. We have equals negative 145. Now, we need to isolate the 25K, so we will subtract that 5 that is being added, and whatever we do to one side, we will do to the other. That will leave us with 25K equals negative 150. So now what's happening to K is being multiplied by 25. So instead we will divide by 25, which isolates our K, and K equals negative 6. Because 150, think of quarters. 150 divided by 25 is 6, and a negative divided by a positive is a negative. And then our last problem, I'll call this problem number 4. Let's get some color back here. 4n plus 4 times the quantity of 1 minus 6n equals 64. So 4 times 1 is 4. That's correct. That's our 4 times 1. 4 times negative 6 is negative 24, and this is a problem. They did not multiply. They seem to be adding. So let's solve this correctly. 4n plus 4 times the quantity of 1 minus 6n equals 64. So we're going to distribute the 4. That's our next step. So 4n plus 4 times 1 is 4, and 4 times negative 6 is negative 24n, and that equals 64. Now, at this point, we can combine like terms. We have 4n minus 24n. So that would be 20n. 4n minus 24, negative 20n, plus 4 equals 64. Now we want to isolate this negative 20n, so we're going to have to move this 4 to the other side of the equation by subtracting it from both sides, which leaves us with negative 20n equals 60. And what is happening to n? Well, n is being multiplied by negative 20. So we will divide by negative 20, knowing that whatever we do to one side of the equation, we do to the other. This isolates our n, and n equals negative 3, because 60 divided by 20 is 3, and a positive divided by a negative is a negative. So let's go back to our exit ticket. So complete the sentence. Terms are separated by addition and subtraction. That will help you to keep your terms straight. So if you finished early, make sure you show me your work. Make sure you've done your do now. And then you have some fun things that you can do when you are done. And I'd love to hear about your personal story. I hope it includes lots of math practice, because you know as you do that, you'll be great.